again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where we get you caught up on some of the latest news and the tidbits that are tied to our favorite team in the NFL, the National Football League. That is, of course, the Cleveland Browns. Thank you to everybody who has liked our previous episodes, to everyone who has subscribed to the channel already. We're getting there. We're almost to 13,000. When we get there, we will give the Orange Quarter Zip a rest for just one show. We'll change the fit in celebration of crossing the 13,000 subscriber threshold. We'll do it for one show. We'll mix up the fit for just one show. That's what we do here on Brown's Latest. And thank you also to all of you who get your comments down there in the viewer comment section. I really appreciate it. Now, coming up on today's show, I'm wondering if you said the same thing I said when you heard the Browns were interviewing Nate Scheelhaase for the head coaching position. Did you hear former Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken low-key clown Kevin Stefanski in a recent podcast interview? What the Browns can learn from the Chargers, that is also my worst fear for Shedeur Sanders. And then down in the viewer comments, inside information on the Baltimore Ravens. Ooh, is this our first inside information viewer comment? I think it is. But first things first, look at this laundry list. The head coaching vacancies in the NFL. It's up to 9, I think, now. Us. And how about the Steelers? Mike Tomlin yesterday stepping down. You saw that coming, though, man. You could tell. He's I don't understand, man. Pittsburgh, I don't get you people, man. You got a coach that takes you to playoffs every year. Oh, you're mad because you lose in the first round every year? People in Cleveland would kill for that. Like, I don't understand people, man. I don't understand the Ravens chasing Harbaugh out of town. I don't understand. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. So, but whatever, you get what you deserve, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Then, the Giants, the Titans, the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Dolphins, the Raiders. For the love of Pete. Do you know the Steelers have had only 3 coaches as long as I've been alive? Like, that is insane. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. That's it. 3 coaches. It's insane. How about this, though? On that list, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Tennessee, the Giants, Las Vegas, and Atlanta. We will play all of those teams next year. So the Browns, including us, we'll have a new head coach. We're going to be on the new head coach tour next season because almost every team we play is going to have a new head coach. And we'll have one ourselves. Now, a guy who's probably hoping to be a head coach is the Rams pass game coordinator, Nate Scheelhaase. Usually you got to be an offensive or a defensive coordinator to get a head coaching job, but this is where we're going. And then we got Doogie Howser, the Doogie Howser of football in Jacksonville. The guy's 30 years old, and he's interviewing for jobs. Udinski. Like, everybody just keeps trying to outdo the next guy. And, how low can you go? How young can you get? It's insane. But I'm wondering if you said the same thing I said when I heard the Browns were going to interview Nate Scheelhaase for the head coaching job. I said, who? Had no idea. And did some digging. Look at this, though. I'm going to tell you, after I started doing my research, this guy's kind of growing on me. Just going to leave it there. But with the Rams, he joined them in 2024 as an offensive assistant. He came there from Iowa State. He was their offensive coordinator. He's only 35. Well, I say only, but Udinski, the Doogie Howser of football's just turned 30. So 35 seems ancient now for these coaches in the NFL. But he's highly sought after, and there's so many videos and things out there on this guy. You guys, you need to check out some of these. There's too much to talk about. Like, this is only a, 20 to 30-minute show we got going here. I couldn't fit it all in. But one thing I found that I thought was really interesting, it was an excerpt. This is a quote from a Sports Illustrated story on Scheelhaase. And it's from Jamie Pollard, who's the Iowa State athletic director. And he said about Scheelhaase is that there is never a sense of an ulterior motive with Scheelhaase. Proven in part, he says, by the fact that Scheelhaase actually wanted to pursue a career in campus ministry before he's pulled into coaching. And then instead, during a series of conversations about the Iowa State football program, he clinically laid out a vision for the team's future. And one of the other things that they say about him, is, and that's impressive, is his, despite it, he's 35. I'm not going to sit there and say he's a young coach, especially when you got this guy who's 30 interviewing for head coaching jobs. But as a younger coach, he apparently has a great ability to read people. And one of the other things that Pollard had said is that he not only did he lay out this vision, but he understands, he called it the rhythm and the harmony of a group of grown men. And so I feel like that's a big part of what was missing from the Stefanski era, is this ability to read the room, right? I mean, not only the locker room, but read what's happening to you on the field, like the Tennessee game, when we're going for 2, when we should be kicking extra points, when we're kicking from the 29 against the Raiders, when we should just kick a field goal and put them away. This guy is like an offensive guru. There's a great video of him, the way he comes up with plays and all that. Look, man, McVay, he's going to fall out of the McVay tree, and they all fell out of the Sirianni tree, if I remember right. I'm sorry, no, it was Shula and LaFleur who also fell out of the McVay tree. So Shula and McFleur fell out of the McVay tree. So it's there's a lineage here. So, but read up on this guy and see if you come away as impressed as I did. I was like, I went from who to when I did my research. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Could be a thing. Nate Scheelhaase. Now, Scheelhaase knows offense, but so does Todd Monken. He's the guy that got fired right before Harbaugh got let go in Baltimore. But Monken was on this podcast, and I was cracking up because whether he knows it or not, he low-key clowned Stefanski. It was, I couldn't believe when he said it. I was like, this is great. They asked him about Harbaugh. They were talking about Harbaugh and, his relationship with Harbaugh. And he was saying all these great things about Harbaugh. He goes, he may never hire me again. That's fine. He goes, he might just think I'm some clown. I don't know. He's like, but there's nobody who could, relate to the players and do that. But listen to what he said. So that's kind of the ramp up to what he said. Then he says this. He goes, you're going to tell me that John Harbaugh's message isn't clear? He's the best I've been around. Then all of a sudden, the message isn't clear? He is the best to me at motivating and directing and keeping a team moving in a certain direction. I think, here comes the clown, I think it's an easy cop-out. Instead of saying, I have to coach better, I have to play better. That's what I'm paid to do. That's a fact. So he's saying you're copping out. If you're going up there every year going, we just got to coach better. We got to play better. He's like, that's what you're paid to do. You're not supposed to go up there every week after a game and tell people, we got to coach better. So Monken is 100%, whether he knows it or not, clowning Stefanski. And again, this is just another one of those things that shows you the idiocy that we have been dealing with on so many levels as Cleveland Browns fans. When you got this guy, and we're up here, we're clowning him every week about the Stefancers. And they got to play better. Got to coach better. Got to play better. I understand the question. Got to play better. Got to, like, all the time. And here's Monken saying, you can't do that as a coach. Your job as a coach is to have your team just play better. You don't need to go sit there and whine about it after the game. But that's what we had. And that is why he is not a leader. And that is why he will not. Oh, my God. He's never going to be. If these teams are smart, they have to be smart enough to know that Stefanski is not a head coach. He is not a head coach in this league. But here's what I think. I think he has no intention of working. And he'll probably end up in a studio or something. Who knows? Because he's going to get that buyout money. He's not going to lose that buyout money. So that's just my opinion. But unbelievable that all of these other coaches who are real coaches clown Stefanski. Remember Vrabel? Well, once they were out of trick plays, like, it was pretty easy to know what they were doing. You know, all the time. That's all you see. These real coaches clowning our ex-coach. We all saw it. And same thing like with the Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel thing. Like, we all saw it. We know it. And the numbers are coming out. Whether it's, Leah and her science stuff, or Lance with his breakdowns, and Shedeur's is coming. He texted me. He'll have Shedeur's coming. So once we get Shedeur's grade from Lance, we will have that as well. But like, now you're getting the data to back up what our eyes were seeing the whole time. And Stefanski can't run from this too much longer. He's got to be asked about it, right? You would think. But thank you, Todd Monken, for clowning Kevin Stefanski on his way out the door. Well, your way out the door too. But speaking of coaches, here's something we can learn from the Chargers, man. And this is my worst fear. And this is part of my reasoning for wanting to keep the Schwartz-Reese combo for next year. Keep this in mind. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, there's not going to be enough change. That's not enough change. Schwartz is going to make changes. Every head coach, it's like when I worked in television. When you got a new news director, it didn't matter how old your set was. The old news director could have bought it 6 months ago. The new news director is going to come in and change the set. Like, that's the most noticeable thing a news director could change. And then, obviously, brings in his own people, changes the people on the. I've seen it. I've been a victim of that. I told my wife, I was running a morning show, and when the GM left, I said, I'm telling you, it could happen. And it happened. Because that's how it goes. Everybody wants their own people in there. And that's what's going to happen if Schwartz and Reese stay on. That's what's going to happen here. There's still going to be coaching changes. Ventrone will be gone, and others will be gone. Because he's going to want his guys in there. So there will still be change. But here's really like this is my worst fear. Especially for Shedeur, because I don't know how many times you've seen this with quarterbacks where they have a different offensive coordinator every single year. And that's where Justin Herbert is right now. Take a look at this. Justin Herbert's offensive coordinators, this is in the last 5 years, Shane Steichen, Joe Lombardi, Kellen Moore, and then Greg Roman, who they fired yesterday. And Roman he's only been with Schwartz. He was there with him in San Francisco and then with the Chargers. So now Harbaugh's got to find a new friend. But do you not think this 100% affects a quarter, especially in the NFL? The complexity of these offenses and everything, and to have to learn one basically every single year. I mean, come on. And that's why, so even if he's with Reese, it's going to be Reese's offense, but at least they've worked together and they understand each other and they can relate to things. And there's things they can look back on from last year and clean things up and say, okay, this play is just like what we did before, but here's here's how we're going to do it this time or whatever. Just that consistency and that stability, I'm telling you, that is my number one reason for keeping Reese, because I don't want to see this turn into a revolving door of OCs, man, for Shedeur. You need that. The one place you need that consistency, man, is with your offense. And for the last 6 years, it's been consistently bad. It's a horrible offense. It's trash, that offense that Stefanski had. So what the Chargers are doing to Justin Herbert, man, I feel bad for him, man. I feel bad for him. They fired their offensive line coach, too. That's the other coach that's going to get fired. That guy, the guy we got from Rice, he's not going to be around. We got to get Callahan back in here. There will be changes. The coaching staff is going to turn over. Even if Schwartz is named the head coach and Reese is named the offensive coordinator, there will be change. So don't fear that. There's still going to be change. But man, oh man, I don't need a rotation at offensive coordinator, man. That is the death sentence of almost any quarterback, man. I don't care how talented you are. If you're spending all your time learning an offense, at what point do you just get to let go and play and be free? You don't. You never do. Because you're so worried about learning everything. It's not a good place to be, man. Not a good place to put your quarterback in, especially younger quarterbacks, man. You do not want to do that to them, man. Keep changing them. That's why Chargers aren't going anywhere. That's why they're never going to do anything. They need stability too. Even these teams that are good, they have a lot of problems, man. A lot of problems. So, I mean, our problem is we're bad like every year. We don't even get the chance to be good. So, I don't know. That's going to change. We're working on it. Something that we never have to work on are the viewer comments. And we will start today with Roger Beckett-S2J, who says, the Browns need a culture-building CEO-type coach who knows how to delegate and manage assistant coaches and players. Basically, someone who sees themselves as the link between management and the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. We need to see the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator more like associate head coaches. Put people in those positions who are solid tactically and more autonomous, with the head coach being more of the management type, more like an assistant GM. Roger Beckett, that's a great take. And this is what I kept saying Stefanski should have done. He should have put himself in that position and just have a super strong, you already got the super strong defensive coordinator, and get yourself a super strong offensive guy who can just run the offense. Doesn't have to be your offense, but he wouldn't give it up. He would not let it go. He would not let the play calling go. He would not. I was saying that from year 2. That is exactly. Stefanski might still have his job had he done that. Had he listened to me, I was saying that all along. He just needs to be the top guy. And get two strong guys underneath you. I like the way you put that, associate head coaches. And hopefully that's where I'm looking at if Schwartz was named. Well, I mean, I guess if Harbaugh, but I don't know. It's looking more and more like Harbaugh. Like we're not. It doesn't seem like we're on. But who knows? It's crazy time right now. I mean, anything can happen at this point. But I agree with that. I agree with that system, man. There's enough good coaches out there looking to be. So you have a head coach and Schwartz is already the assistant, essentially. So, you just get yourself a strong offensive guy, and, Reese is right there. Now, I love that take, Roger Beckett. Great job. Bill Hug, 1635. Everybody give Bill Hug. Bill Hug. Bill says, Chicago rebuilt their offensive line this last offseason. We need to draft a lineman, sign some free agent linemen, and obviously get a receiver who can catch the ball. Always a plus when you're a receiver if you can catch the ball. Chicago did it in 1 year. Yeah, remember we talked about New England yesterday, and Jacksonville's also come up in the comments as well. It can be done. Remember we talked about the worst to first thing, but that's a great example, what Chicago did, because that's what the one thing at the end of last year, everybody in Chicago are tied to the Bears fans, everybody, all they kept saying, hey, we need a line, we need a line, we need a line, we need a line. And here, it turns out they put together a line, and look what happened. Look what they did. I mean, look what they're doing. They're still alive in the playoffs. So the Browns, there are plenty of models for the Browns to follow to get this done and turn this offense around and give Shedeur pieces to we already got Judkins and Sampson. You don't have to worry about that. Got Bond, so you got one receiver. We got draft one. And I was getting some crap about Carnell Tate. But He's dropped 5 balls in his entire career at Ohio State. 153 targets. He's dropped 5. People are saying he drops balls. He doesn't drop balls. I don't remember him dropping any, but I looked it up. He's dropped 5. But we get a Cardinal Tate, we draft him, or one of the other guys. I mean, there's some good options. But I'm a Buckeye. What can I say? It's going, to me, it's a quick fix. It should be a quick fix, this offense, going into next year. Neva Loss. Now, I don't know if that's supposed to be the start of Nevada, because Loss is on there, but Neva Loss says, would you give up the Jaguars pick? Remember, the 24th pick overall, our second pick in the first round. Would you give up the Jaguars pick for A.J. Brown and the Eagles' third? And I 100% say no. There's no way. And there's a couple reasons. Well, one, he's going to be 29 in June. And when these receivers hit 30, that's it. They fall out, just like the running backs. They fall off the ledge. They're done. 30, not old for Doogie Howser coach. 30, old for a wide receiver or running back. But here's the other thing. What do I always say? The wire. Follow the money. You got to follow the money, Neva. And what A.J. Brown is making, we are not taking on that contract. His deal runs through 2029, if you wanted to extend it. It's on the books for the next 2 years. But it was a 3-year deal that he signed, and it's $96 million. I mean, he averages $32 million a year. And the guaranteed money was $84 million. Like, the Browns aren't taking on that kind for a 29-year-old wide receiver who's a diva. No, that's not happening. Not gonna happen. There's nothing that really gets me interested. I'm more interested in drafting one, and I would prefer to trade for somebody like a Marvin Harrison Jr. or even a Garrett Wilson. Because, like, even Garrett Wilson, all the stuff that he's gone through in New York, you don't hear him whining and crying or carrying on like that. And Marvin, he gets hurt, but, these guys are pros, man. We want pros. We don't need divas in here, man. Could you imagine that? Second, third game, Brown's over there yelling at Shador. Don't need it. Don't need it. But again, the money, it doesn't. You always got to follow the money. Follow the money. Michael Ashanti, 548, says, Dave, this is what we teased at the top. Michael Ashanti knows things. Here we go. Dave, Brian Flores is going to get the Ravens job, so no worries on the Browns DC going to the Ravens. I have some inside knowledge. All right, Michael Ashanti. Working out of the Baltimore Bureau today. I appreciate it. Going to be very interesting. If Flores, Michael Ashanti, I need you to make sure if Flores gets that job, you need to, in capital letters in the comments, say, I told you so. Remember, I told you so. I had insider information. Okay. And then, Michael, maybe you could confirm this for me in the comments. Is it true that Lamar is the one who threw Harbaugh under the bus and got him fired? Because that's what I heard. That's what my insider information told me, that there was going to be no firing of Harbaugh, but Jackson didn't like Monken, and those two hadn't talked for like 4 months or something. He didn't like Monken, and then Harbaugh talked to Jackson, and then Jackson ran to the owner or something and said, I'm done with Harbaugh. And then the next day, Harbaugh got canned. That's what I heard. Big mess in Baltimore. So Michael Ashanti, if you could confirm that for me, and then if Flores gets the Baltimore job, capital letters, I told you so. Okay? All right. Great take. I'm going to be watching you, Michael Ashanti, my insider, my Baltimore insider. I appreciate it. He's our first insider. We will end today with BNG7ND, who came out of the gate swinging. But it's okay, because football is fun, and we have fun here. BNG7ND says, I'm going to ignore it. I only come on here to tell you I'm sick of your stupid headlines. They mean nothing as to what you're saying. They have nothing to do with what you're saying. You just want to bring people in with false headlines, nothing shocking about football. Read your Bible, get in the Word of God, which people came to my defense and piled on. BNG7ND. But it's okay because a couple of things. One, I got to tell you, I was shocked when I saw Lance's thing. Now, I don't write those headlines. Fan Arts takes care of that, but I do pick who's in the images. I took that over because we had some problems with that early on. But I pick who because I make sure it's people we are talking about. And then I write the show description so you guys have an idea. So if I write the show description, when you read the show description, you'll have an idea what's coming up on the show. And there's other reasons I do that. There's other reasons, YouTube reasons, that we do that. But I always make like actual and factual BNG. If no matter what you see on, I always tell people don't even look at the thumbnail, come right into the show because actual and factual is what I strive for with a hint of infotainment, like the prediction pen. Infotainment. It tells us what's going to happen, and it's somewhat entertaining. But I'm sorry, BNG. I apologize. And I said that. I told him in the comments. I go, hey, man. I go, it wasn't, or girl. No, man. I mean, if I have a problem with, I will call in and I'll say, hey, we need to change that up a little bit. But no, no harm, no foul. I appreciate the feedback. I do. But thank you for watching BNG70. Okay. The craziness continues. Like it is impossible to even keep up. I do think all the firings have to be done by now, and the stepping downs and all that, and the moving ons. That all has to be done. So we're getting through these interviews, and we'll have to see. We'll just have to see where it goes. All right, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Go Browns! We will see you next time.